Have you ever wondered why sometimes your compositions are just not working out? I think it might be something to do with field of view. So there are two things within your camera and lens that affect the field of view. The first one is the size of the sensor, and the second one is focal length. And focal length will apply regardless of whether it's a zoom or a prime lens. So the first thing to note is that the full frame camera field of view is quite different from, say, a Micro Four Thirds camera's field of view. In fact, in a Micro Four Thirds camera, the field of view is about half that of a full frame camera. So how can you adjust the field of view? Well, you adjust the field of view by altering the focal length. And this has a couple of effects. So the longer the focal length, so if you say are shooting at 40 millimeters, there will be a certain field of view. If you then change or zoom in to say 80 millimeters, that field of view will be narrowed. And don't forget, it's not just the width that narrows, it's also the height that narrows. But there's an important factor within the field of view that can have an amazing effect on your composition. It can change it from being sort of so-so to actually being very impactful. And that's this concept of compression. Sorry, just got distracted by the cormorants over on the rock there, flying in from their fishing to have a dry out. Anyway, where was I? So how does compression affect your composition? Well, an awareness of compression is very important to the balance of your composition. And I've talked about before this idea of balance within the frame, you're balancing elements. So if there's a strong element in the background that might distract from your subject, zoom out, push it further away from you. However, if there's an element in the background that is important and supports your subject, zoom in a little bit. Sometimes by zooming in and walking backwards to move the camera away, you can get the desired effect. Remember, you have two zooms, your feet and your camera lens. So I've got a terrific example here. I'm going to be shooting through these rocks to the little headland beyond and the beach and shore in the far distance. I'm going to demonstrate a few shots so that you can see the differences at different focal lengths. Okay, let's give it a go. So my first shot is going to be at about 25 millimeters, and I'm focusing just on the rocks in the distance through the gap, and you'll notice that the shore beyond is quite far away. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Yeah, this is going to be at about 50 mil. And now you'll notice that the headland has come closer, and so is the far shore. This is going to be at about 75 mil. It's even closer. Also, notice that the depth of field has changed as well, which alters the character of the shot. Now we're going to zoom right out into 100 mil, and that is a completely different shot again. I must admit, once I had understood this idea of compression within my compositions, I found it much easier to get a balance within the shot. So those shots that and compositions that didn't look quite right, I could effect by zooming in or zooming out, affecting the compression of the depth within the shot, which had a significant influence on the balance. So I would highly recommend you give it a try during your next session with the camera. If you're already aware of things like field of view and compression, perhaps you'd be kind enough to drop a comment below and let me know your experiences and the effect that it's had on your photography. Anyway, I hope this video has given you some food for thought. I hope you'll find it helpful when you come to your next session with the camera. And if you have this idea of compression and field of view in the back of your mind, I'm sure that it will only help you. Remember that your zoom works in two ways, both feet and on the camera lens, and the combination of the two can have a direct effect on your composition. Well, that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing your comments below. Bye.